Welcome back to Third Phase of Moon. This is Blake Cousins, and we're live right now taking your calls from around the world in regards to the UFO phenomenon. Third Phase of Moon rated the top UFO channel on YouTube, approaching 100,000 subscribers, on our way to over 70 million views, and we're taking your calls live. If you have a question for Third Phase of Moon, you want to report your amazing video capture, you can call in right now to 347-934-0378 and share your video with Third Phase of Moon and share it to the world. All right, now we have Dave from Maine. He claims that he was abducted at the age of 3. He shared his story exclusive right here at Third Phase of Moon, and it was an explosive interview. The video went viral. The link's below. Go back to watch the interview, the original one, and see and listen for yourself how Dave explains his abduction. Absolutely incredible. Now we have Dave again right here from Maine. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Blake.
Okay, now the story continues. Your parents saw you being abducted, being taken away in the flying saucer, and you were waving back to them, and we did this special documentary on it. Now you explain to us that you have another family member that was there as you were being abducted?
Yes, I didn't, at the time that all of this happened, I was, concentrated on seeing my parents and everything. But apparently my uncle was also here as well. He heard, my family members, a little bugging out about it. My father was all upset. My mom was all upset. My sister, I guess, was freaking out. I guess it lit up the whole yard. Like I said, it lit up a brightish white light. But I didn't know that my uncle was even here until I was telling him about talking to you and everything, and contacting MUFON and everything. And that's when he told me that he was here that night.
Wow. Well, so your uncle's there. He was eyewitness to a UFO abduction of his nephew. Let's get your uncle on the phone right now.
Okay. Yes.
Welcome to Third Phase of Moon. Now, I appreciate you joining us right here.
All right. I've seen quite a few things, and
we want to get to the actual incident where Dave was explaining to us that you may have witnessed him being abducted.
Well, I don't know if I witnessed him being abducted or not, but I was laying on the couch, and I know there was light over the house, and it seemed to be like a lot of static electricity. And everybody was getting all excited and panicky, and I just stayed on the couch and bundled up. But I was really too scared to do anything. The lights just come out of nowhere, and the whole surrounding area around the trailer lit up, and then, it was gone. So that's...
The phenomenon known as EMP, electromagnetic pulse, in regards to the alien abductions, it seems that not only you, but David's parents, when they were witnessing this, they didn't try and shout out, bring my son back, or bring my nephew back. It was basically they were stunned, they couldn't move, basically, like you were explaining, just basically too scared and paralyzed to do anything.
Yeah, that was me. I didn't move. Was laying down for the night, sleeping, of course, and it woke me right up out of sleep.
So now that you and your nephew collaborated, and now that he knows that you were, in the house at the time of this abduction, that he says he was abducted, what do you say to Dave's experience and, him coming out and sharing his story to Third Phase of Moon? It's actually inspired a lot of people when we first had him on to come forward on Third Phase and share their story to the world.
He's kind of inspired me over the years about it, because he's an extraordinary person. So if you knew him, and he just finds, he's found rocks that I can't explain. That they they look more media rights to me than anything. So, I mean, it looks like burnt rock. So, and he'll be walking along, just all of a sudden pick it up. It's like he's drawn to stuff, you know. And like I said, I've seen other things when I was younger, also.
Oh, yeah. Like for example.
Well, I was young, and it was my sisters and myself, and we were sitting in a cemetery overlooking our town. Actually, it was Dover, New Hampshire. And this light came up over a hill that we could see across town called Garrison Hill, and it came directly at us, and it was a split second, and it just went right up over our head. And it was definitely a craft, and it wasn't a plane or anything. I know what a plane is, and, you know, helicopters and all that, and this just moved too fast. And I was probably 14 or 15 at the time.
The sightings happen, they're continuously happening right here at Third Phase of Moon. We've been getting videos from around the world on a daily basis, and we're showcasing it right here. I really want to thank you for, you know, coming forward and collaborating the factual story of what's happened to Dave. Thank you very much.
All right, well, thank you.
All right, and thanks again, Dave, too, for having your uncle come forward, and now we're going to be going on and getting some more questions from the viewers and listeners right now.
All right, very good. Well, thank you.
Area code 207, we're getting calls in right here at Third Phase of Moon Live. Welcome to Third Phase.
Hi, this is Dave. This is that was
Dave.
my uncle.
Yeah. Yes, it was. And
how you doing?
Yep. Thanks for joining us right here at Third Phase. And has there been any updates? I know that. Tell us about how you first found out that your uncle was in this house at the same time you were abducted. Because is this a new revelation?
Well, yeah, you know, I haven't seen him for 5 years, and then he recently just moved in here. So I was telling him, you know, about, you know, because he knows my experience and everything, obviously. And so I was telling him that I contacted MUFON and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, then I heard about contacting Third Phase of Moon. So I contacted you guys, and you guys mentioned that if I knew anybody else in the family that's seen anything or has seen the same, you know, we're here at the same time that, you know, I was abducted and seen the alien grays, that you wanted to speak to him. So he was fine with talking to you, so he talked to you. It blows my mind that he knows. I didn't know that he was here.
And what's interesting that he has the same experience that most people that witness a UFO and really being up close to it, that they're basically in a shock and awe kind of state, and they can't really react and think in a normal state of manner. Yeah,
because all these senses that you're feeling all at once, it's overwhelming. You know, you have to be there to understand what anyone that's been through what I've been through, you know, is saying.
Let me ask you. You were telling me you live there in Maine, and the Betty and Barney Hill famous abduction case. You actually met Betty at one time?
Yes, I met Betty a long time ago. This was shortly when she was getting hospice treatment, daycare. Nice lady, a little too free spoken, but you know, sort of swore like a parrot. But she was a hot shit.
Did you share her your experience with her?
Yeah, and it's a lot similar. You know, it was different. It was different for her than it was for me. You know, it was different for her. She's a lot more, I don't know, more outspoken and free-spoken than I am. I get jumbled up talking about it. I get tongue-tied and everything else.
Well, maybe we could get into a little detail on what was going on, because the abduction phenomenon affects over 4 million people a year, apparently, right here in the United States. That many people claim it outright, that's what's going on, and they report it. And we get a lot of people coming in and sharing their abduction stories. Let's tell the people that haven't been abducted about what the process is as it's happening, because I know it happened to you over 60 times, as you said back in the past.
I remember like 3 or 4 times, but
well, let's start out how it, step by step. Where were you? The most vivid one that you could really relate to our viewers listening right now in Third Phase of Moon Worldwide, the abduction case scenario, day one or starting at night. Go ahead, Dave.
All right. I'd be sleeping there, and I'd wake up by just a weird humming, you could almost feel like a pulse, like a bass, like boom, 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 and you'd feel it like sort of hit your body. It was a weird feeling, and then I'd see this bright white light, just all around the house outside. It'd light my room up and everything. And then these alien graves would be looking at my window and talking to me telepathically, tell me that it's all right and to not be afraid. And they want me to go with them. And I tried to get out of my room, and the room that I was living in it's a trailer, and it wasn't that big of a room, so it had sliding doors, and there's no lock on a sliding door, and I can't slide the thing open to save my life. And I turned around to see if they're still at my window, and they're all of a sudden just in my room in front of me. And no sooner did I see him in front of me, he slapped this a white chopstick-looking thing in his hand right on my forehead, and that was the last thing I remember before I was just outside of my room, going down the hallway into the living room, and my parents are coming out. And then a few times after that, it was the same thing, but I'd see him outside my window, and then I'd be in the craft. And you don't know how you get there. It's just within a second, you just feel sort of sick to your stomach, and then a lightness, and then you're there.
So once you're aboard the craft, Dave, how is the climate in there? Is there and tell us about the architecture inside this alien spacecraft.
Well, the interior is smooth, but kind of rounded. There's no flat edges, no real flat edges to it. And I remember, it's dim lit, not white, but not gray either for walls. And it reminded me sort of like a hospital, that smell of sterileness, but like that Benadine, a weird Benadine smell in the air. But it was clean, like clean ozone, almost like it's gonna rain, that ozone smell. But it has the Benadine smell sort of with it.
That's some detail that we're looking for. People are gonna probably have the same experience and share this same type of smell that you're explaining. We're taking calls from around the world. There's people that might have questions for Dave. They may have had an abduction experience, and we're going to get to these other callers in just a bit. But I still wanted to keep with Dave here about more detail about when you're aboard the alien spacecraft. Do you find yourself in a place alone, kind of isolated, and then then the grays appear, or are you by yourself throughout this experience aboard the craft?
When I first get there, they're just next to me, and they're, they'd show me just places that I didn't see until I started like grade school, or something that like I watched on History Channel, when I was like 9 or 10. But until then, it was stuff that I've never seen before. And I'd play with kids that weren't. I knew they were kids, but they weren't kids. I don't know how to explain it, but I was okay with it because I didn't. I was a kid. I didn't see no harm in them, or so-called the Greys, and it was. I didn't have a real problem with, interacting with any of them until they started doing the testing stuff. And that's when, they'd start doing testing and I'd black out. And the next thing I know, I'd be back in my house.
This is when some of the abductions, from what we hear through testimony and Alien Abduction Diaries, the latest documentary we put out for free on YouTube, interviewing 3 alien abductees, that it's not very pleasant at this point. Unfortunately, it's not a joyride when people get abducted, and people think that it's not a serious subject matter, and it's easy to ridicule and call somebody nuts when they're trying to explain what's happened to them when they haven't experienced it for themselves. And that's what we're trying to do right here at Third Phase of Moon, is getting people's testimony out. Dave, stand by. We're going to take a caller right here, calling in to Third Phase of Moon. If they have a question for Third Phase Moon, area code 952. Welcome to Third Phase.
Hi there.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Good.
Talking about UFOs. They come around, like, my house, like, very often. But I don't think they are what they say they are.
What do you think they are?
Well, I think sometimes they're good ones and sometimes that they're not good. Just they seem to. I can't go outside. They're there. I have pictures, but I'm not gonna. My family's seen them. Other people have seen them. I don't know. I'll just listen. Thank you.
Well, hey, I appreciate you calling into Third Phase. We're interested in UFO sightings. Could you describe? Are they on a daily or nightly basis in your area?
Yeah.
And
my dog.
And you said you photographs and.
Yeah.
We could take a look at them. That's what we do at Third Phase of Moon. If you want us to get the pictures out, if we think that they're worth to share with the world, we'll put it out. And if you just want to share it with us and have our opinion on it, we could also do that.
Sure.
What kind of sightings have you had? Are they in broad daylight?
No. Well, they start about dusk.
And
they go till late at night. But it's the feeling that I have, like, in my house. It's like I feel like I'm being watched. It's hard to explain. I guess I'm just going to listen.
Well, let's, if you could contact us on Skype or, Third Phase of Moon Skype or...
yeah, I'd rather talk to you privately than, like, on, just because of the government, maybe. I don't know. I don't know I don't think that they're all good. I think that there are spirits in the world, and I think that they're misrepresenting themselves.
Well, there's a theory that people come to Third Phase of Moon saying that possible alien abductions, not all of them, but some of them are...
I've seen them since I've been a child.
You've seen alien grays?
No, not the great. No, I've never seen them. I've seen the ships since I've been a child. And it's like my children say, quit talking about them, looking at them, going outside with them. I don't know. My family's just a little concerned. Because I think that they're not what they say they are, or what we think they are. That's all. I don't know what else to say.
David, do you have any advice for the calling in right now? How they should deal with these encounters with UFOs?
Keep my dogs go nuts when they're here.
I'm not one to put advice to someone. My experience is my own. I think they're here for some reason. For what reason? I can only speculate. Anybody can only speculate. They could be here for good. They could be here for bad. I guess
it's just seeing them every day.
Yes,
Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I understand what you're saying.
That not only affect me, but everyone else in the entire planet.
I mean, it's my animals. My animals go crazy when they're around. I mean, I know when they're here because my dogs go completely crazy, and then they lay at the end of the hall at night like they're waiting for someone to come in through my house.
Well, there's a phenomenon going around the world. You're not the only one that's experiencing this.
I know. I've talked to MUFON people. They've had my pictures, but I don't think I don't think MUFON is what they represent either.
Well, I think
I don't know who works for who or whose hands feeding who. I mean, I don't want people to come knocking on my door.
Third Phase of the Moon is non-corporate. We're independent. We're not associated.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the
MUFON.
Yes, the world,
MUFON has been known to basically drop the ball on a lot of these reports. They're not following up on it. They're not sharing it. Here, David's on the phone.
They call me a lot. I just don't want to sit and talk to them because I'm not sure I want them to know who I am.
Look. I
you know what I'm trying to say? I don't know who they are. Do you know that they don't work for the government and that I don't know? Maybe I shouldn't say anything about the government. I don't know.
Go ahead, David. You've had your experience with them, and then these strange people that have shown up to you that didn't seem like they're MUFON. Go ahead, David.
Yes, I contacted MUFON, and I had people that drove up in a vehicle that was not a MUFON-issued vehicle. I don't know any vehicle that's unmarked and has only 3 numbers on it, on what state they're from, and has 5 antennas on the ceiling to make the whole roof an antenna.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why I would never go meet them.
Dear, the government's if what we know is the truth, the government's gonna do what they want to do, whether you speak about it or not. So, the way I feel, the more people that get out and talk about this, the more the government is going to open their eyes, and the more
for a couple hours.
It's going to be
all you have to do.
Excuse me?
All you have to do is go outside. If any human being went outside and spent time outside like normal people used to do, you would see them.
Not many people do, right?
They sit in front of their computers, or they're watching television, or they're freaking sleeping. If you go outside and play outside, you would see things. I mean, I'm not the only one. I mean, the clouds are different colors than they used to be. I mean, it's just, I don't know what's happening to this world, but something is. It's just.
It's happening. The videos continuously come in, and we'd sure like to see your photos. We really do like video. Do you have a video camera on you?
No, I don't have. I've tried, but I'm not any computer camera working person because I get too nervous. I don't like being. The only time I can go outside then is with my dogs. I will not go outside at night by myself. I do go with a camera, and I just take random pictures of my backyard, thinking that I'm going to see something, And I don't want to call them here either, Just by thinking of them and wishing upon them, when you've seen them, I think they just keep coming. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Well, there are people that claim that they can summon UFOs. We've had them on the shows.
Not summon them. I'm not saying summon them. I'm just saying, thinking, and all of a sudden they're there. I mean, it's like, I was told not to even think about these things, or even contact these things, or flash, like a flashlight at these things that I've done.
Telepathic communication. And some people claim that the entities could be evil spirits or angels. One or the other. Or government drones. Oh.
But there's lots of spirits. There's lots of spirits in the world. I mean, there's everything from fairies to jinn to whatever you believe in. You know?
Well, we're taking calls again from around the world. Just stand by and...
Can I just listen?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Area code 951, this is Blake Cousins. Welcome to Third Phase of Moon. Oh, maybe we're just going to get Dave back and go over some more detail of the alien grays. We're trying to find out. Well, share with the audience what these alien grays are like and their stature. You spoke to me back in the past and our viewers about what they sounded like, and let's go into a little bit more detail of how tall they were, how heavy do you think they were, and in that detail. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, the little gray guys, they're like 3.5, maybe 4 feet tall, grayish skin, almost like, sort of look like felt, like suede skin look, but it wasn't hairy, it wasn't fuzzy but it looked like grayish light leather, with the big black eyes, the 4 fingers and slim body and the big head, and they spoke telepathically. If you were to hear them speak to you telepathically, it's like plugging your ears and talking. You'd hear your voice in the center of your brain, but you hear it muffled. But when they speak to you telepathically, it sounds just like that, but totally clear, just like how you hear me and everyone else. And when they speak to you, they speak very calm, collective, very assured of what their agenda is, what they want to say to you. And it's almost like a hypnotic. If you've ever been to a hypnotist or heard of, hypnotists on TV, how they speak, they all speak at a certain tone, just like how I am, to get you at a mellow tone and get you relaxed and in that state, so they can get into your brain a lot easier. And when they speak in between each other, it's sort of like crickets with pops and like an old record, the pops and cracks and hisses, along with like every once in a while, like you sort of feel like a bass. I don't know what they're saying in between each other, but I know when they speak to me, it sounds just like English.
Have you ever watched the movie E.T. the Extraterrestrial?
Yes, that was my first drive-in movie theater movie I ever watched, actually. What did you think when you watched it? Yeah, I know you were young. You must have felt kind of I felt
related with.
Yeah, because he had that connection with them. When E.T. got sick, they got sick, and it was that odd connection, and I felt sort of comfortable with the kids that were human, alien-looking, but I knew they weren't like me. They were different looking. I just thought they were like, a special kid, Down syndrome, or, I was just a little kid. Kids are kids. I didn't. When you're that young, you don't look at kids as, oh, he's ugly or she's ugly. It's just someone to play with. I didn't think anything really different of them until later when I was abducted again in Dover when I was like 12. And then they were a lot older by then, and like Catholic clothes, but it didn't have like a Catholic emblem on it or nothing.
So you're saying that the aliens that abducted you when you were 3 years old, 9 years later, they came back and abducted you, the same aliens, and you noticed that they...
Yeah, I want to say yes, that they were probably the same ones. Because I went with them. I didn't have it was like, oh, okay, my old friends, go play with them. And I remember going down the railroad tracks to go play with them, and then next thing I remember, I'm back, back where my parents were sitting underneath the pine tree, and there's brown blood coming out of my nose, looked like chocolate milk. Went to the hospital and everything. They didn't find out what was wrong with me, but. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, David. Hypothetically, train station. Unfortunately, the major train disaster in Spain recently, captured on video, TV video, videos everywhere, cameras, Big Brother, watching the whole world. So, here's the question, David. Hypothetically, when you were playing with the aliens on the tracks and there was some kind of surveillance video at that time, do you think manually we could pull that data and bingo, we'd have this evidence of you playing along the tracks with the aliens?
I don't think where the train tracks were there was ever cameras.
Hypothetically, if there were cameras.
Oh, if there was? Oh, probably most likely. Most definitely if they still have that footage.
Yes, I'm just, it's just interesting to me.
I mean, it's just like the airport that's not that far from my house. They could have radar records of when the ship was sitting over my house. I mean, it's only 6 miles away, 7 miles away, little airport. So they could even have, have their own clips of it on radar.
Did the aliens themselves, the Greys, seem like did they record themselves with their video equipment? Like, how do they capture time? The way we do as people with our cameras and photos, we like to capture the time and share the moment. Do they do that in any?
I'd probably say they'd probably do that all, like, telepathically, like, it'd just be in their collective mind. I've never seen them pull out a, Polaroid or anything, Well, it could be just DNA. They could store it, a lot better copy than a three-dimensional full body of a person than just a picture. You can have the DNA and all of it all at once. That's just theory. I mean, anything's possible at this point.
Well, we're going to be taking calls that Bradford Blair says we have a flash chat here at Third Phase, and it's going live, and people could flash chat with questions for Dave or Third Phase, and he's saying maybe it goes straight to the mothership, the information, and that's where the data is processed. So, Bradford Blair has an interesting comment there live right here at Third Phase, and we're taking calls, 347-934-0378.
Yes.
There we go. Typical people that don't understand what's going on around the world. People are being abducted. People are sharing their stories. They're sharing their videos. The videos are getting out to Third Phase, and they're being shared worldwide. The evidence can't be shut. The proof is in videos, testimony. The world is being shaken up by Third Phase of Moon. We're going to get the word out. I want to tell David, thanks for joining us right here and sharing your story. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And, people think this is a joke, and people are just saying this just to get attention. There's nothing positive about getting attention on this. I'm not here to make any money. I'm not here to get famous. I'm just letting it out. It needs to be told. anybody that is afraid of saying it, don't be afraid. It needs to be out. The more people who let it out, maybe it will open everybody's eyes, not just, our open-minded people that, believe beyond rationality, I guess. I don't know how to say it, but thank you.
Now you explained to us that you have another family member that was there as you were being abducted?
Yes, I didn't, at the time that all of this happened, I was, concentrated on seeing my parents and everything. But apparently my uncle was also here as well. He heard, my family members, a little bugging out about it. My father was all upset. My mom was all upset. My sister, I guess, was freaking out. I guess it lit up the whole yard. Like I said, it lit up a brightish white light. But I didn't know that my uncle was even here until I was telling him about talking to you and everything, and contacting MUFON and everything. And that's when he told me that he was here that night.
Wow. Well, so your uncle's there. He was eyewitness to a UFO abduction of his nephew. Let's get your uncle on the phone right now.
Okay. Yes.
Welcome to Third Phase of Moon. Now, I appreciate you joining us right here.
All right. I've seen quite a few things, and
we want to get to the actual incident where Dave was explaining to us that you may have witnessed him being abducted.
Well, I don't know if I'd witnessed him being abducted or not, but I was laying on the couch, and I know there was light over the house, and it seemed to be like a lot of static electricity. And everybody was getting all excited and panicky, and I just stayed on the couch and bundled up. But I was really too scared to do anything. The lights just come out of nowhere, and the whole surrounding area around the trailer lit up, and then, it was gone. So that's...
The phenomenon known as EMP, electromagnetic pulse, in regards to the alien abductions, it seems that not only you, but David's parents, when they were witnessing this, they didn't try and shout out, bring my son back, or bring my nephew back. It was basically they were stunned, they couldn't move, basically, like you were explaining, just basically too scared and paralyzed to do anything.
Yeah, that was me. I didn't move. Was laying down for the night, sleeping, of course, and it woke me right up out of sleep.
So now that you and your nephew collaborated, and now that he knows that you were, in the house at the time of this abduction, that he says he was abducted, what do you say to Dave's experience and, him coming out and sharing his story to Third Phase of Moon? It's actually inspired a lot of people when we first had him on to come forward on Third Phase and share their story to the world.
He's kind of inspired me over the years about it, because he's an extraordinary person. So if you knew him, and he just finds, he's found rocks that I can't explain. They look more meteorites to me than anything. So it looks like burnt rock. So. And he'll be walking along, just all of a sudden pick it up. It's like he's drawn to stuff, and like I said, I've seen other things when I was younger also.
Oh, yeah? Like for example?
Well, I was young, and it was my sisters and myself, and we were sitting in a cemetery overlooking town.
Welcome back to Third Phase of Moon. This is Blake Cousins, and we're live right now taking your calls from around the world in regards to the UFO phenomenon. Third Phase of Moon rated the top UFO channel on YouTube, approaching 100,000 subscribers, on our way to over 70 million views, and we're taking your calls live. If you have a question for Third Phase of Moon, you want to report your amazing video capture, you can call in right now to 347-934-0378 and share your video with Third Phase of Moon and share it to the world. All right, now we have Dave from Maine. He claims that he was abducted at the age of 3. He shared his story exclusive right here at Third Phase of Moon, and it was an explosive interview. The video went viral. The link's below. Go back to watch the interview, the original one, and see and listen for yourself how Dave explains his abduction. Absolutely incredible. Now we have Dave again right here from Maine. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Blake.
Okay, now the story continues. Your parents saw you being abducted, being taken away in the flying saucer, and you were waving back to them, and we did this special documentary on it. Now,
actually, it was Dover, New Hampshire, and this light came up over a hill that we could see across town called Garrison Hill, and it came directly at us, and it was a split second, and it just went right up over our head, and it was definitely a craft, and it wasn't a plane or anything. I know what a plane is, and helicopters and all that, and this just moved too fast, and I was probably 14 or 15 at the time.
The sightings happen, they're continuously happening right here at Third Phase of Moon. We've been getting videos from around the world on a daily basis, and we're showcasing it right here. I really want to thank you for, coming forward and collaborating the factual story of what's happened to Dave. Thank you very much.
All right, well, thank you.
All right, and thanks again, Dave, too, for having your uncle come forward, and now we're going to be going on and getting some more questions from the viewers and listeners right now.
All right, very good. Well, thank you.
Area code 207, we're getting calls in right here at Third Phase of Moon Live. Welcome to Third Phase.
Hi, this is Dave. This is